Now always remember, at the start of the Boulder, heading up 30th Street North, it's a slight uphill. You're going to go a little bit more than a half a mile and then make a left-hand turn to the 1 kilometer point, which is a little bit more than half a mile. And at this point, you want to be well within yourself because at altitude, once you go into what's called oxygen debt, where you're not getting enough oxygen, it's much more difficult to come out of it. So at this point in the race, you are simply trying to get into your rhythm, trying to relax, and trying to find that effort that you feel you can maintain right to the end. But what I also tell people at this point, back off a little bit from that effort, say 10% or 20%. And about the 5-mile mark, you'll thank me. Very soon now, you're going to stop the climb. Again, it's deceptive. You don't think you're climbing that much, but you are. And you have to stay within yourself, what they call your lactate threshold. Don't go over it because it's much more difficult to recover from that at altitude. You run at what's called perceived effort. Again, here we are at 1 kilometer, just about 2/3 of a mile, and you're trying to recover from that slight climb. So ease back just a little bit, find your rhythm again, and at this point in the race, you really should be finding out just how you feel. But remember, until about the 2-mile point, you're going to be climbing more than at any other point in the race. Now we're approaching the 1-mile point. That's where you can really determine just how this race is going to go. You should be running, as I keep saying, well within yourself. You should be relaxed. You should not be breathing hard. You should be able to talk to the person next to whom you're running. I call it conversational pace. And if you talk that way, it means you aren't extending yourself too much and you are staying well within yourself, below your lactate threshold, because I can't overemphasize the fact that at altitude, once you go over the edge, it's very, very difficult to come back. As you approach the 2-kilometer point, which is just over a mile, you're still recovering from that slight climb at the start. And still take it easy, because when you make this right-hand turn coming up, you're going to start climbing up Folsom Street. I view this climb up Folsom Street to the north, up this hill, it's very deceptive. Even when you ride it in a car, it doesn't seem to be much of a hill, but when you run it, it is. And you have to try to run what we call the tangents. So at this point, try to bear a little bit more to the left and stay within yourself. I keep talking about that. And once you crest, you can see the crest here. Once you've crested that, try to push a little bit over the top and let your momentum carry you. And as you then ease back into your pace, relax and draw back. You're still going uphill, but I really think that's the hardest mentally. It's the hardest hill on the course, and you haven't run 2 miles yet. You're still climbing slightly up Folsom Street at the 3-kilometer point. This is a little bit less than 2 miles. You can actually see the 2-mile banner in the distance there. At this point, I always thought that's where the true climb in this race ends, at 2 miles. From 2 miles to 5 miles, you're going to work through some neighborhoods and then work your way back downtown, but you're going slightly downhill the entire time. So at 2 miles, I always say, okay, now yes, there are more than 4 miles to the finish, but when I make this left-hand turn and go into the neighborhoods, I can relax. And then once I come out onto 19th Street to head back downtown to the finish line, I can really let it go down that hill because I've been totally recovered. And again, still talking to my friends. And at this point in the race, you probably found some people who are running the same pace. They're your friends now. Keep talking to them. Stay conversational. And as I said, at the 5-mile point, you'll thank me. You're now past 5 miles. You've made a right-hand turn onto Folsom, and you're heading home. You're heading to the barn. And there's a reason they use that expression, because Here you can feel that you're drawing yourself closer to the end with every step. Remind yourself it's a downhill. Again, stay within yourself. That's 9 kilometers. That's less than a mile to go. Just keep up your effort. And if you feel like talking, that's okay, but you're close enough to the finish now. Remember that once you get within 3 minutes of the finish line, you can really pretty much go harder, make a little mistake, go a little bit anaerobic, and you can sustain that for about 3 minutes. So figure what 3 minutes from the finish line means to you. Have that point in the race and realize you're okay now. Now you go across Boulder Creek here and head up the hill. This is a very deceptive hill. It's not as hard as the Folsom Hill. And when you make the right-hand turn at this climb, and remember, it's not the entire hill. You don't have to run all the way up this hill. You only run about a third of the way up. Once you make that right-hand turn towards the stadium, you pass the 6-mile point. From there, it's only a few more yards up that hill to make that left turn. And once you make that left turn, you literally run downhill into the stadium, into the roar. And what I love about it is, usually in this kind of race, only the winner of the race gets that kind of roar. In the Boulder, every finisher gets a cheer of Olympic magnitude within Folsom Field. I hope these tips have helped, and I would suggest you watch this a couple of times so you can visualize yourself out on the course, so that once you get there on race day, if you haven't had a chance to go run parts of the Boulder course before the race, it will look more familiar to you when you're there, and actually it'll make the time seem to go more quickly.